Hey, thanks for having me on, Roger. It's an honor to be on the show.
You are a pharmacist in San Diego, California. Am I right?
Sacramento, California. But
Well, there's
yes, I'm a
there's a difference
pharmacist.
between Sacramento and San Diego, but they do start with SA, but wrong
Yeah,
end of the state. All right,
they both
so
have sunny
Sacramento,
weather.
California.
Yeah,
I apologize for missing that. It has been a day or two since I read your stuff, so um, I give myself a free pass on that. Anyway, you're still out there in
nice.
California now, in Sacramento. Well, the real estate prices are a little different than San Diego, but still, compared to the rest of the country, you're paying a pretty good amount for real estate there. But
Yep.
real estate's not your job. You're buying single family rentals on the side. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. I actually got started about 5 years ago, just buying one single family home per year and converting it into student housing where I create as many bedrooms as I can and doubling and tripling the rental income that I could get on the
Okay.
houses.
So are you renting them out month to month?
No, year to year. So they have 1 year leases from August to August, and during the summer, when people go to summer school, they can go ahead and sublease it to somebody else.
I see. All right. But it's one bedroom at a time, like a co-rooming arrangement.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I could basically do is take a 3 bed, 2 bath house, add two or three extra bedrooms, and increase my rental income by $1,400 to $2,000 per month in rental income.
Yeah.
And so that has allowed me to scale so quickly. Now I'm currently making $17,580 in rental income per month off of just
Wow.
having 6 houses.
Yeah. Well, your rent rates are a little higher in California, but you sort of answered a question I was going to ask. I get a lot of emails and calls from listeners from California. We're on the air in Long Beach, and they ask, I can't. They say to me, I can't find any rental properties here that make sense. I can't get cash flow out of them, and what do I do? And my answer has always been, well, you've got two options. You can buy in a high appreciating area knowing that you're going to have to pour money into it for a few years before you start seeing cash flow, or
Right.
you can buy remotely, turnkey rentals in Indiana, Florida, and other places. And then I usually refer them to some of my turnkey rental friends. Actually, the top three turnkey rental people I know, or three of the top four, are located in California, but they deal with properties otherwise. But now you've got this co-rooming thing going, and
Yeah.
um, that actually works out a little bit better. Are you familiar with pad split?
Yeah, I am. So it's actually very similar to Pad Split, which I think they started in Atlanta, Georgia.
I know.
So it's a very similar method,
I've had the
but you
founder
get to
on
do
this
it in
show.
both worlds, right? You can
Yeah.
buy in high appreciating markets, or any market, because any state has, its local colleges, right? So I buy in a high appreciating market in California, and I get a high cash flow as well because I can rent by the room to those college tenants.
Do you run any problems with local ordinances?
Not in my city. So that's one thing you want to check before you go into this strategy. Some states and cities, it's actually by the county, they'll have laws against potentially having more than four unrelated tenants in the household. But the cities that I invest in, Sacramento and Stockton, I haven't run into that issue because I called up the local, housing, the planning division, and they said, yeah, you can totally do that as long as you have a business license with us.
Ah, and what's the business license cost out there?
It's a very small amount. I think it's based off of the income you make. I think I only paid like 100 or $200 for the, over $200,000 I'm making per year in
Yeah,
rental income.
yeah, yeah. All right. So back up. How long ago was it when you bought your first one?
2016. I
All right.
bought a
So
262,000 3 bed, 2 bathroom house. I had a lot go wrong with it, but since then it has gone up in price to 450,000.
yeah.
So that's almost $200,000 in just
All right.
appreciation, right? Not, and that's not counting all the rental income I was making during
So
that time.
did you pay full retail for it when you bought it?
Yeah, I did actually.
And it
But it
didn't.
was a 100-year-old house, so there are a lot of things that had to be updated, like the
Ah,
HVAC, which cost me. like 15,000 because I put in mini splits, and then there was also a sewage line that broke down on me. So I realized from all these mistakes, obviously, to do my due diligence, get all the inspections done, to make sure that I'm not overpaying for a house, or at least get some credit towards replacing those items. But since then, I basically purchased one a year using the equity. I tapped into the equity using something called a HELOC, took that money out and put it on to the
Yep.
next property. So basically, I'm not coming out of pocket on the down payment for the
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah. It's the co-rooming version of a Burr method. But let's go back
Exactly.
for a minute because I want to ask you. All right, now you talked about putting the HVAC with the mini splits. Do
Mhm.
you do that all the time now, or
No, definitely not. So
would you
I'll
recommend
definitely
against it?
try
I
to.
think it's an interesting idea. First of all, tell everybody what it is.
Yeah, so mini split, it's also known as a ductless AC, meaning normal ACs, they have ductwork that goes to the outsides of the house. But mini split system is different. You have a basically a head unit in every single bedroom or every single room, and then you have like one condenser unit, and it's kind of like a newer technology. It's actually very energy efficient. And so that's why a lot of people in like Europe and the Asian countries use this method
Yeah,
for
so
the HVAC.
and it allows you to set the temperature in the room so you're not heating or cooling rooms that you're not using, which seems
Exactly.
ingenious to me. But
Yep.
also in this situation with co-rooming, it allows each individual person to kind of monitor their own temperature.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I talk with Atticus LeBlanc about. And that is, who sets the thermostat in the house? Because some people are more cold natured than others and that sort of thing. And those are the issues you kind of have to work out. But you don't go and refit all of your houses with mini splits. You just, if it works,
No,
you leave what.
definitely not. I'll try to keep what's there already, but just knowing the age of the HVAC, the age of the roof, and all that, it's really important to know that before you purchase the house and close on it, so that you can ask the seller, hey, this thing's about to probably be dead in a couple years, so can you put some credit towards it? So that's
Yeah.
something I learned
Yeah.
throughout
Yeah.
years of
Well, now
investing.
I think buying, the college renting thing, that's an interesting idea. How close do you have to be to the college for this to really work out?
I would say like so the current one that I just bought, it's about 5 to 6 minute drive from Sacramento State, and I'm renting out the four other bedrooms here. I'm living in the master bedroom, so I'm actually house hacking it, and I'm making $3,650 per month in rental income, while my mortgage is $2,300 a month. So I'm living in it for
Yeah.
free, and also getting that extra $1,300 minus expenses, of course, and rental income and cash flow.
Do the other roommates know you're the owner, or do they think you're just one of the guys?
Oh no, they know I'm the owner. Yeah, but we're cool. Like I'm very selective when I choose my roommates
Okay.
or house
What
people to
about
stay in.
how do you screen your tenants in your other houses?
Yeah, so I have this thing called the Prime method. So basically, it's P.R.I.M.E. So P stands for placement of ads. So you want to place your ads where your target tenants hang out. In this case, college students. So either like housing groups or college, Facebook groups, maybe bulletin boards or internal website that students go to look at. R stands for reviewing social media. So I'll actually look through their Facebook profiles and see if they're doing any like smoking, drugs, alcohol, raves, parties, and all that type of stuff. So I can kind of see what type of person they are. I stands for identifying the type of tenant. So is this a tenant who constantly is asking for a cheaper deal and gets angry easily? How are they when communicating to them through email? M stands for measuring responsiveness. I find that the more responsive a tenant is, the more responsible they end up being down the line. And then E stands for ensuring proof of income, meaning you have to get the last 2 month bank statements and credit score of whoever's paying the rent, or you could get like student loan documents, financial aid, pay stubs. Those all work.
All right. Do you make parents co-sign?
Yes, if I can. Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's an interesting approach. You're co-rooming with college students, and just when I think I've heard everything, here comes something new. Co-rooming. Well, I know about co-rooming. College student housing. I know about that. But co-rooming with college student housing.
Yeah, exactly. Like for instance, if I just rented this house out to a family, I would probably get 1,500, maybe $2,000 per month on rental income. But because I'm renting out the four other bedrooms, I'm actually making 3,650.
Yeah.
And if I were to move out of this bedroom, it would be about 4,500 in rental income. So it's
So
essentially doubling how much you could be making on a house by doing a co-living situation.
yeah, so you've got a full-time job. You're a busy guy. Go back, 6 years ago. What made you think of doing this in the first place?
My grandpa, I would say he was my biggest inspiration.
Really?
He bought a couple properties in the San Francisco Bay Area, a couple flats, but back in the 50s when they were like really really cheap, and he was able to basically afford it off of his military pay. He was able to retire early. He was able to not only do that, but also help fund part of my college education and that of my brothers. So he created generational wealth for his family through real estate investing. And so I knew that I could, do the same thing if I just keep at it. I know it's a very great way to build wealth, probably the best way to build wealth. And so I just bought one a year and got to where I am today, making a multiple six-figure income through student housing.
Yeah, that's interesting. When you say it's the best, when you say it's the best of anything, I tell people all the time this is the best real estate radio show out there, but who gets to define best, right?
Right.
Maybe uh, a quicker, faster, better way of growing wealth is to write the next app that becomes the craze. The problem is, for every one app that is a million seller or a billion makes a person a billionaire, there are 500,000 that don't make anything. And so
Exactly.
I think I like the word best, but I qualify by saying the surest way. It's the
There
surest
you
way to
go.
build
Yep.
wealth. And
Absolutely right, man.
and part of the reason for that is the value of the real estate itself will never go to zero. Even if we have
Yep.
another big downturn in the market, which some of the fear mongers and clickbait junkies on YouTube are saying that we're going to, I don't believe it, but that's because I actually look at the metrics. But even if it goes down, it's always going to be worth something. It's not like
Yeah.
stocks.
Yeah, definitely. And there's actually six ways you make money in real estate investing. Have you ever heard of the LADIES acronym?
Go for it.
Yeah, so L stands for leverage. So the first way you make money in real estate is leverage. You're only putting a 20% down while the bank is funding the other 80%, but
Yep.
you control 100% of the property, right?
Right.
A stands for appreciation. So we all know real estate appreciate, like 3% per year. Let's say you bought $100,000 house, put $20,000 down, and it goes up 3%. So 100,000 times 3% is $3,000. Well, you made $3,000 off of the $20,000 you put in, which is actually a 15% return on your investment if you do the math. And that's why appreciation and leverage is so powerful. The D stands for depreciation. Now, that's a tax benefit. That's like money you're getting back off of the supposed wear and tear on the house. And so most real estate investors never actually have to pay taxes if they do it correctly. Because they use debt to their advantage that way. I stands for income. Income meaning the cash flow that you're making on the property. Basically, your rental income minus all your expenses minus the mortgage. You'll usually have, if you do it right, you'll have a positive cash flow, which will pay you on a monthly basis. E stands for equity. So that means equity gets your loan gets paid down every single month. Your tenants are paying into, your principal on the mortgage. So every month you own a little bit more and more of the house just from them covering the mortgage. So leverage, appreciation, depreciation, income, equity, pay down, and then S stands for shelter. Means like everyone needs a place to live, right? So real estate will never, like I mean,
Yeah.
it crashed in 2008, but it's never going to be an asset that you can't really trust, right?
Living behind four walls and under a roof has been very popular since it was first invented.
Exactly. Well
People
said. Well said.
people would rather do that than live outdoors. Some people still prefer to go camping every once in a while, but that's
Mhm.
just, I think, to remind us of how blessed we are to have indoor living and plumbing, all the conveniences of modern life.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
that's very good. And it's funny because I'm actually, as we talk today, I'm shooting an update to one of my courses, and we just talked about our bonus lesson. It's not exactly the same thing as the L.A.D.I.E acronym, but I call it the real estate horn of value because you know what a horn of plenty is? It's the
Hmm.
cornucopia. Um,
Yeah.
when I first started drawing charts of this to show, mortgage pay down, depreciation going up, it started looking like a bugle, a horn.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right. That's
once I
right.
made it
Yeah.
three dimensional with depreciation going this way and appreciation, tax deductible benefits going that way, then we had a
Hmm.
three-dimensional horn, and yeah, anyway, it became a whole
It's an
thing.
exponential growth. If you look at the graph, it
Yeah,
really is exponential growth.
yeah,
Especially the loan pay down graph, it curves downwards. So near the end,
yep.
basically everything's going toward the principal.
All right, Ryan, do you have a website or anything? You got any books or courses or anything where you teach people how to do this?
Yeah, so you guys can reach out to me at www.newbierealestateinvesting.com/guide. That's newbierealestateinvesting.com/guide. And I provide a free PDF that goes through all the mistakes that I made and how to get into real estate investing as a new investor. Or if you're just interested in the student housing market, that goes specifically over that as well. And once you sign up, you also get my free newsletter where I go again through all my mistakes, obstacles, how I overcame them, everything like that. So check that out at newbierealestateinvesting.com/guide.
And we'll have that link in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast, or if you're watching the video, it's in the notes right below. Maybe on the screen just a minute ago as he was saying it. All right, Ryan Chaw, thank you so much for joining us on the Flipping America show today. We appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks again, Roger.